What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Not my typical environment of where I film, but I'm in the middle of a merch shoot right now, but I wanted to come out here and do a little video for my Wednesday drop. You guys know, if you have followed me over from Instagram, that I just started YouTube not too long ago, and I've been trying to be a lot more consistent with it and bringing you guys videos that add value to you. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to become a platform artist or educator. I'm going to go into the details of what has helped me, and also to give you guys a perspective of what companies look for, so that when you guys are marketing yourselves online, you have something to kind of gauge for and think about as you're creating content. I'm going to take you guys through my journey about the things that have worked for me, that have helped me grow, and a couple of the things that have been really difficult for me in the process, so you guys can hear the pros and cons of being an educator. I've been getting a lot of questions online about how to become a platform artist or how to attract companies to look at your work. I'm going to be going over a couple details. But first, I just want to say thank you guys for coming and checking out this video. Going and branching off from a platform like Instagram, I wanted to create a YouTube account because I wanted to be able to dive deeper into a lot of topics that I can share with you guys to help any of you guys who are looking for this type of content. So I appreciate you guys for always tuning in and leaving positive comments so that you can attract all those great things back into your lives. Alright, so let's dive into a couple things to think about when you guys are creating content and you're trying to attract these companies. Back in 2016 was the first time Babyliss had reached out to me to ask if I wanted to join their new barbering education team. At the time, they were only known for blow dryers and flat irons and all their other great hot tool items. 2016, they decided to form this barbering team, and there was 5 of us that started back in 2016. Prior to getting in contact with them, they had reached out to me when I was at 40,000 followers on Instagram. And how Instagram works for a lot of us is that is our modern day portfolio, a way for people to see who we are by looking through our page without even having to talk to us yet. A really important thing that helped me stand out was that I was already creating high quality photos and videos of my current work, and that separated my page from a lot of other people. Also, on top of that, I shared a lot of my personal story and was able to connect to my audience. And the answer of why I even started to take better quality content of my work was that I remember what it felt like when people didn't look at barbering as a real art or a career. And I just remember thinking, barbering is really hard for me to learn. Learning how to fade was one of the most difficult things that I had to do. And I remember telling myself, I'm going to take really good content of my work so I can show people that this is a craft that should be a lot more respected than what it felt to me at the time. Anytime I told somebody that I was a barber, I felt like people brushed me off or wasn't interested in the topic. So it just always bothered me that that's the feeling that I got anytime I wanted to talk about it. People just weren't interested. So over the next couple years, from when I started in the barbershop up until that 6-year mark, I worked on putting out my best work and just showcasing that barbering was such a fun industry where we have full freedom to self-express who we are, create art on so many clients, and the most important part is helping people feel good when they're coming to see us. Fast track to now, let's bring it back to 2016. I get a call from Babyliss that they were going to be starting this new barbering education team. So before I even get into that, let me talk a little bit about what my page was already looking like. I had about 40,000 followers, and my content was already geared towards selling a product at the time, and also selling my haircuts, because I was also using Instagram as a way to build a portfolio to get clients in my chair. Not only clients, but different types of clients. So I was using it to market different styles outside of the shop that I was working in. The shop that I was working in, we were doing a lot more traditional haircuts like pompadours and side part comb overs. So I was like, let me try these other types of haircuts. And so I started doing messy spikes with a clean side, mixing a lot of scissor work with my clipper work. And slowly but surely I started to see that because what I was posting, it was attracting other types of clients into a shop that was mainly geared towards traditional work. I saw the impact that it was having for me, so I started using my Instagram as a way to promote versatility of haircuts so that I could accommodate more types of clients. Going closer into my 6th year of barbering, I worked in a shop with 11 other guys. We had a big shop, so it was always a really big group. And I remember being able to help somebody figure something out. And in that moment, it just kind of clicked to me like, oh my God, I could maybe start educating, because I felt like I could explain it well, that somebody else could understand. That kind of sparked my mind. I was like, you know what? Let me do some local classes. Let me try. So we put out a post. I did small classes I'm talking 3 to 6 people tops, 6 if I'm lucky, 3 to 4 was on average. And from there, I believe that when you put out a certain type of energy out and you're in the motion of doing things, you start attracting really similar things, the same way that I was attracting different types of clients based on the work that I was producing and promoting. The same way that all works is how I was able to start doing more education. And the more I started doing it locally, I think that's what really drew Babelist to come across my page. Now we fast track to getting picked up by Babelist. I get on the team. It's just as nerve-wracking as anything else. I remember I was at a crossroads because it was the chance to educate something I didn't even know about. I think when I first got into hair, the idea was that I was just going to work in a shop, build a clientele, and that was it. Until I started going to shows, it actually opened my mind. I started seeing platform artists. I'm like, oh, what is this? This would be really cool to do one day, but I didn't know how to pursue it. And so I just kind of go about my way. I'm just building myself up on Instagram, doing whatever I can to just build a good client base at the shop. All of my life, I have been terrified of public speaking. I think that is a fear many of us share. I started breaking it when I started working in barbering, actually. Prior to barbering, I was super shy. It was really hard for me to open up and just have conversations with people, especially strangers. I was very to myself. I was more observant, not as opinionated, because I was too afraid to express what I felt. And through working in a barbershop, because we have to practice so often, talking to strangers for the first time and trying to find, some common ground in conversation, it started helping me to open up a little bit more to my clients. So when that opportunity came to me in 2016 and they said, do you want to be a platform artist? The one thing I thought about was, this is that fork in the road for me. This is the opportunity to really break out of my public speaking fear and really going for it, or saying no and just waiting it out till I was ready. I'm always going to jump at every opportunity if I have that chance to try, because I think that's the only way we know, is if we try, right? Without trying, you really don't know what you're capable of. So I said, yeah, I'd love to be on the team. I'd love to come out and give this a try. I get on the team, we go through a training, and that's the one thing I really loved about the Babelist company, is that they put us in proper training to learn how to speak, to learn how to work with other people in conversation when you're on stage. And even in the beginning, I had some doubts for myself, because I was like, how do I even teach? Like, I felt comfortable cutting, but to cut and to speak and to do both of those at the same time, it was really difficult. And that was something that I had to really break in after doing it so many more times, because the first couple stages that I did, I would forget words mid-sentence because I was over-preparing. I was super nervous. People are staring at you. You're just thinking a million different things. You're thinking if they even like what you're doing. People are on their phone. You're wondering if they're distracted because what you're saying is not important to them. So you have so many clashing thoughts happening all at once, and you're trying to educate and also balance being able to also do sales, because the reason why companies want to work with you is that there's an exchange. They help you get exposure, they take you to all parts of the world, but in exchange, you must be able to sell yourself, you must be able to sell the education, and most importantly, you have to be able to help sell the products that you believe in. Personally, for myself, I will not work with a company unless I actually love the product, and that is to create some credibility behind my words, because the one thing that I want my audience to always trust is that if I use it, it's because I actually do believe in it. Other than that, I will not promote it. I will not put my name behind it, because the credibility between me and the audience is really important. So now I'm picked up. I'm on this team. We've been educating now for about 4 years, and I started at the bottom of the barrel of education. I had no prior experience. I didn't even know how to talk to people. So now, fast tracking to now, I've been on the company now for 4 years. I've educated all over the place. I started at the bottom and just continue to work my way up from just practicing, doing it often, getting over the fear of speaking. I'm still not completely over it, but the one thing that happens when you do it so often is that you learn how to cover up the nerves, and you're able to work through it versus letting it stop you. And I used to get really bad anxiety in front of crowds. Like, when I see big audiences, usually that freaks me out a lot. Inside, I just feel really tense and like hot. But I think when I started doing it more often, and I was around a lot of crowds, a lot of questions, it taught me to be better. Honestly, it was so uncomfortable, but it taught me to be better, and it taught me how to work through those feelings and the nerves rather than letting them stop me. There's another thing also to keep in mind. When you are educating, things change and you got to be ready for things to switch on you, whether that be at the airport, whether it be at the show, whether it be through the questions that people are going to ask you at random. You just don't know, and you got to prepare for everything. So being able to kind of shoot answers on the fly with being knowledgeable of a lot of different things, this is really going to help you. So preparing for a lot. I prepare for everything. I research a lot of things that I don't understand because I'm always trying. And personally for me, I like to try a lot of different tools, so that has helped me a lot in being able to explain things to different people so that they understand that there are options. Another thing that also you got to keep in mind is that I thought if you could cut well, you could educate well. And that is two separate things, because when you're cutting at home, you're in the comfort zone, right? You are in your shop, you have lighting set a certain way, and if you don't, it's easy for you to grab some new lights and be able to put that in the place that you need it. You're cutting out of comfort, you have everything that you need, all your tools, all your clips, everything like that. But when you're on the road, you can't bring that whole station with you. And on top of that, if you do fades, you know that you need good lighting for you to properly go through those steps. Even if you know the steps and it's too dim or the lighting just is not hitting right, it's really, really hard to get your typical clean fade done. And I've had this happen before. Not too long ago, I worked in a shop. It was just too dark for me. And even as I'm doing the blend, I had a super hard time trying to figure out if all my lines were even aligned. This is something that we battle as educators, is when you are going into these venues, you're dealing with a lot of spotlight, and then also the track lights. You know, they're more of like spotlight versus like it's just like a consistent, even flow of light. So we're working against that. We're working against questions. We're working against working with other people on stage. And if you aren't, and we had to learn to maneuver our conversations into each other, because you don't want to be on stage and have to have, you know, 2 or 3 different conversations. So that's something I had to learn as I was going through this whole thing. And sometimes you're trying to connect it into something that you're already talking about or whatever step, but the next person's at a different step. So you got to know how to maneuver in what they're saying into what you're saying. Those are some of the struggles that I've had to work through in order to get to this point now. But on the flip side, here are the couple other good things. Being able to work for a company as big as Babyliss Pro has given me the opportunity to expand to more people on a bigger platform. Going to these shows, going to different parts of the world, and being able to showcase my work has also gained me exposure among other opportunities where I'm getting booked to go into people's salons and barbershops to either train their staff, train their national educators, or just doing a class that's local for that entire area and having people come in. Being with Babyliss was the start of allowing me to grow in a different way and go down a different path, still doing what I love, being able to share that with other people. And the way for you to stand out on Instagram to get these opportunities is to first find your voice. What is it about education that you want to do? It's best to learn as much as you can in your city. I would start there. You don't need a company to get started. Do what I did and just start in your shop and just market to the local areas around you. Master that, you build a reputation, you're in motion of doing these things, you're going to attract these opportunities to come to you versus you knocking on doors and asking them if they want to have you. I always talk about this on Instagram, is that you want to elevate yourself so high that when they come see your page or they heard about you through somebody else, it makes sense when they go on your page, and it makes sense to, okay, why do we need this person? What is the value they could bring us as much as we can give them? I was already selling myself, and that's what really gave me the leverage to work with a company this big. That what also helps is that I'm always building up myself, which has now gained me collaborations with companies to want to use my name or image on a product that we work on together. I can't stress enough how important it is to build your online portfolio, because you can use that as leverage for so many opportunities. So I've been with the company now for 4 years, and let me tell you what they always look for. The way you speak. Before they even talk to you, they could already go to your page and see a glimpse of what this person is like. How you talk, how you engage with your audience, if you've already built some credibility between you and your audience, if you provide any value. Knowing how to cut is one thing, but knowing how to talk about how you know how to do something is a completely different thing. What good is being a genius at something if nobody knows about it? The way we're able to express this is if we write about it, if we talk about it, if we do a video about it. You gotta find your median that allows you to take what's on the inside and put that out there. The hardest one, I think, for me, is video, because you just got to speak, and that is really difficult to do in front of a camera. And for all of you guys that struggle with that, that is something that I still struggle with. I've been doing this for a while, and I still get stuck sometimes to where I'm having to rehearse 100 times. But that's what you got to do to get better, is to practice that skill. Just as you would when you're learning barbering, you got to speak and practice that as well. Another thing that these companies are looking for is, can you help them sell products? Whatever it is. Could it be a tool? Could it be products? The bigger your credibility with your audience, the bigger the opportunities get for collaboration. Another thing that they look for, can they trust you to represent yourself? Can they trust you representing their brand? These companies have built years and years and years to build a good market for their name. So when these people are looking for ambassadors who push their products, they need to know they're also protected by picking the right people, the right energy, the people that are team players. That is something huge for our Babeless team. And thank God everybody on that team is before the skill set is already an amazing person and is easy to work with. They've done a pretty good job at picking people based on energy, reputation, the hard work they see you put, even when they're not directly working with you, seeing you at a barber battle, seeing you teaching in general, seeing how you talk to people on Instagram or social media, seeing how you respond to others. They look at all those different things. Now, what has helped me separate myself from when I started educating to being where I'm at now, be an easy person to work with. When I go to these shows, I make sure that I'm talking to these hosts. I make sure that I'm connecting to the audience. I try to build really good relationships with the people that book me out, because I want to leave a really great first impression. And when I leave those good first impressions, they're going to write back to the company, or they're going to write back to other people in the area that also want to book me later. So you always want to leave a really good, strong first impression with people. Being able to travel has done so many good in my career, because it's opened so much, not only just me educating, but through education, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about the world. I've learned about the different markets. I've learned about how each continent values different things when it comes to hair. Just seeing people's techniques. Being an educator has changed my life and really helped me expand and made me understand that I had a passion for seeing people go from point A to point B. So I kind of just want to leave it here with you guys. Keep building your profiles. Keep finding your voice. Keep finding what you're passionate about, what you want to teach, what you want to be known for, and build your social platform around that. Show people that you know how to do something. And from there, you're able to figure out what you want to teach. You got to see what people respond to. You got to see what you're passionate about. Sometimes you might be teaching something that you don't really like, and then, that fuse is going to die out. But you need to tap into everything to figure out what that is first. And the people who can bring the most value to the company are going to get the biggest opportunities to travel further. I worked from the bottom of the barrel, started with no experience, and I worked myself up to get to a level to where these companies trusted me so much. They were collaborating me to use my name and my image to work with their products. The validation that I get isn't from the people that, are telling me I'm good. The validation for me comes from the opportunities coming in. That means I'm doing something right. That means I'm adding value. I'm bringing value to the people. I'm bringing value to the company. And that is the way I'm able to attract these opportunities to come into my life. I was only able to do small classes at first. You build up just the same way as you're building your skill sets with barbering. I started with local classes. From the local classes, I was able to expand to all the U.S. states. From the U.S. states, I started getting requested for different countries. And to be able to do the countries, it gets even more difficult, because now you're dealing with language barriers. It gets harder. What I guess I'm trying to say is that the problems never really go away. You just get better at dealing with them as they come. And each level that you reach is teaching you a whole new set of things that are going to prepare you for that next one. Take your time. Be patient with it. The one thing that's really going to help you figure this all out, whether that's social media or becoming an educator, is you got to figure out who you are and what you want to do with that. What resonates with you the most? What do you feel in your heart the most that when you're doing it, you feel like you lose time? What means a lot to you? Because it's really easy that a lot of us work hard, but not everybody gets those opportunities. And the thing is that sometimes we might not realize we're not doing enough. This has happened to me even in the beginning. I used to be super mad at people, and I'd be like, why? Why does this person get to do this when I felt like I was better? And that was a hard awakening for me to understand, because I was just like, I'm doing everything I can. I'm getting my return clients. I'm getting the most requested in the shop. How come I'm not getting these opportunities that I see online? And then it finally hit me one day where I was like, you know what? The thing is, how could I get rewarded for the work that somebody else did to get there? If they got there and I'm not, they must have done something that I didn't do. And then from there, it clicked in my head, and I worked harder than ever. And if I could think of anything that I've been most consistent about, is definitely hair. That is one thing that I've stuck to. And usually when I fall into like a routine, it's really hard for me to stay in there and I lose interest. But this is something that was so difficult for me to learn. And all the roadblocks, I think, just made it more interesting for me, because I felt like I had so many people to prove wrong, that I had fuel. I had so much fuel and ammo to just shoot back, but in a way that allowed me to really push myself and grow. All the people that didn't want me to cut their hair, all the people that said I wouldn't be good at this, all the people that thought that this was a dead-end career that doesn't take you anywhere. The list goes on for all the things that people doubt you for. And because of those things, I've been able to use that as a way to really push myself and grow. So now here I am, 11 years later, going into my 4th year of educating. It's a really great road, and I share this all the time with people, is that you really are capable of a lot. You just have to believe that you're worth it. And the way you believe that you're worth it is by doing the work. The confidence is going to grow as you push yourself further into your career, as you dive in deeper, as you break the layers of covers that you have because you're scared. The further into the core that you go, you really start to come into yourself, and you really start to know what you enjoy doing, what you love the most. And then from there, you work at it over and over again until you get the results that you're looking for. It's endless. There's no stop to it. As I'm moving in now to my 11 or 12 years, I'm pushing just as hard as ever as when I first started. You're just pushing in a different direction now. That's all I got for this subject. I hope this was a in-depth version for you guys to kind of understand where I'm coming from, of just like working from the bottom and becoming an educator and what that's done for me, pros and cons, the hardships that it comes with. But I promise you, it's worth it, whatever it is you're into, that it's achievable. Whether people around you believe it or not, that is decided on you and how hard you work to find that. Because only you know what gets you going, right? Only you know what gives you energy when you're doing it. So don't give up on your dreams. And if barbering is something you love to do, keep pushing, because you just don't know where you're going to end up. I did not know where I was going to end up, and my whole focus is just to be better than the day before. My main focus was just to produce the best that I can. Make the best use of my time to all be put towards my career, to see where that takes me. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, you guys already know, put the questions in the comments. I try my best to get back to all of those. And, you know, one thing that I want to say left is my favorite quote from Andy Frisella. I listen to all his podcasts. I highly recommend it. It's called the MFCEO on podcast app. And he says this line that really helps me put a lot at ease, because the last thing I want to do is compare myself to somebody else and then just make the process even longer. But excellence before recognition. Do the work, become the expert, build a credibility between you and your audience that you know what you're talking about, and I promise you that the opportunities will fall in line in your path when you're ready for it. You got to push yourself to that level so you can attract those opportunities. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.